though. 200 likes. All right, cool. So let's take a look at gold real quick, and let's take a look at what we got going on today before we look at gold. So looking at news today, you have nothing. You don't have much going on today. You have 8:30, minor folders, but that's about it. 3 p.m. consumer credit. Don't know what that is. 3 p.m. irrelevant because we're not trading at that time, right? And also it's just a yellow folder anyways. Tomorrow, Tuesday, you do have nothing as well. Wednesday is nothing as well. Thursday is when things start to get interesting. Thursday you have core CPI, unemployment claims, and also CPI. Pretty volatile today. Friday you have core PPI and PPI, and then prelim UOM consumer sentiment. All right, so that's it for the week. I think next week should be FOMC. I guess not. Maybe the week after. But yeah, man, that's what you got going on. That's what you got going on for the week. All right, so it's always key to look ahead, see what's going on, because if some days ranges, you're like, why is it ranging today? Check the news folder. Then Wednesday you have a bunch of folders, right? So it makes sense to see why we're ranging. Not that that's the case right now, but just in general, it's always key to look out for news to get a heads up what's going on, because it does affect your analysis, right? When you look at it from that perspective. But yeah, chat. Oh, no FOMC. Oh yeah, FOMC just happened when I was in Turks, right? Like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. Yeah, so I forgot about that. Yeah, let's take a look at the charts, chat. I think for the monthly here, starting off the monthly, looks like we are pretty. Where's my? There we go. Yeah, it looks like we're pretty. So the month is currently a bottom wick, right? So as you guys can see here, obviously price closed back into the ranges here. We're still below that resistance. We never once closed above. I know we closed bullish this week, right? But there's still resistances that you can't just ignore. Obviously I'm expecting a top wick still, or even or because this is a bottom wick, right? So I'm expecting price to come out, create a top wick. It really comes down to how we close for the monthly, right? So you have like 24 days left for the monthly close. Obviously if you start to close bullish above the range like this, then that indicates that, okay, well, we're breaking outside the ranges because you're closing above, right? And looking left, we never closed above in the past before. So looking at this to the left, you never close above. Looking at this, you never close above. Looking at this, you never close above. So if you close above here, it indicates that you're breaking out the range, and therefore price should continue to push up towards the next resistance, wherever that is, right? That's the monthly, but you haven't done that yet. You're still below the resistance. At any given point, this can happen. You could come up, right? Create a top wick, and all of a sudden you could just start to flip bearish. And once you flip bearish, that will be the top wick, since you're still below the range, and you could come down towards the next support, right? Your next support is going to be down here at this green box here, which is 1940, right? So I'm still bearish for the monthly overall. Still expecting price to continue down, but again, this is the monthly, so it doesn't really affect our like daily analysis today. It doesn't really affect our 10 whatever pips we're gonna catch today, or if we catch anything today. It doesn't affect that at all. But it's just key to take a look at the monthly, because it kind of paints the picture for the higher time frame, and it's good to keep in the back of your mind, right? But yeah, that's the monthly chat. So they're interesting, still in the range there. Any given point could reject. Like I said, the weekly time frame is bearish today, or bearish this week. So I didn't realize how we closed. You looks like you closed bearish back into the range here. Looking left, last time you closed back into the range here, I did notice that you were able to drop down here. So by last time, I mean this time, right? This is the only count I see that came from here and closed below here, before coming down towards here, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna draw 2 lines here: current support, next support down here. So every time scan from left to right here that you close below 1945, right, and you came down towards 1916, which is next support, what happened? So same thing here, that closed below, drove down here. Same thing happened this week as well. So I'm expecting price to come down towards 1916, right? That's the weekly target. It doesn't mean you're gonna come down today. It doesn't mean you're gonna tap that level today. You can. There's a possibility, especially if you get an algo day, right? But any given point, you can still create a top wick because again, it's only Monday. It's the first cycle of the weekly. It's the first day of the weekly, right? So you could still get a top wick. But yeah, overall weekly by Friday, you should see 1916 get tapped. I don't know if it's gonna close there. Again, last week I did make a post on Twitter about, or on Friday, I made a post about I'm like, where's Twitter? I'm like, oh, that's X. So I made a post about Twitter on Twitter, and I was talking about, we should be able to tap 1924 here, right? And it did. It tapped 1924 on NFP Friday. I said that day it will, right? And then there some guy in the comments was like, Don, not today, man. Looks like you were wrong. Never like, because I think because people assume that since I said it'll tap 1924, they're expecting it to come down and just stay there, right? It can tap 19 and close bullish though, right? But it's a level where price likely is to tap due to it being a major level. So at any given point, this could happen here. You can come down, tap, and then close bullish, right? There's a possibility as well, right? But just tapping is what I mean in general, because again, last time price closed into the ranges, what did it do? It came down and it tapped. Same thing here. Should come down and tap, right? And this is an area of rejection. Look in the past, look how many times it rejected. Plenty of rejections here as well. So at any given point, it could reject there as well. So understand that, all right? There's a difference between price, tapping those levels and staying at those levels for the weekly. The daily time frame is pretty bullish today. Obviously on Friday, it looks like you closed bullish here, closed slightly bullish above this resistance here to the left. So if you were to draw a box here, you're going to notice that, okay, well, price closed back into the ranges. Cool. Right, obviously after tapping to the support, you got support down here that price rejected off of sorta, and it came up and closed back into the ranges. So this can mean a couple things now, right? Could mean that you could pop up towards the next resistance looking left. That could be into these areas to the left here at like 1956 or 1962, or two, it could mean that there's a possibility this might not be the resistance, but the most recent resistance might be it, which is 1944, and that's what price respected. So yeah, that's the daily, right? Obviously right now we're coming down, we're creating a bottom wick, so I still am assuming price is going to flip bullish today until it actually breaks the lows here at 1926, right? Any given point, this thing can still reject, right? Obviously looking left there, there's a major support at 1926. Some level, like just in general, these areas to the left here are areas of play, areas where price could reject that. So any given point at like 26, any given point at like 30 in these zones here, price could reject. And I'll tell you guys why this is so key later on in the analysis, because this is when it starts to affect the smaller time frame analysis, right? Earlier on when we were talking about the monthly time frame, I mentioned that, okay, this is irrelevant to the smaller time frame right now at least, but this is when things get important, because this is when you can start to scale in positions, or you can start to look at the smaller time frame to see off the higher time frame where you can reject off of and take advantage of those rejections, right? So again, there's a strong level here at, like, I'll say, what is this, 1932, strong level at 1926. So just keep that in the back of your mind for now, because we are going to come back to this in a couple seconds here as I come down to the smaller time frame. Just remember in your head, 26 and 32, okay? 4 hour time frame obviously is pretty bearish here, right? So as you can see, price ended up closing back into the range here. So if you look at just the structure in general, you're going to notice that there's some type of resistance here, and it looks like price closed back inside the ranges, right? Obviously your next support is down here now, so this in between will be your current range formed. So what's happening in this range right now, right? Obviously, since you're closing below, you assume now that you're going to come down to fill the rest of the range, right? And the rest of the range takes you down towards what level? What level is this to the left? 32 is what area, chat? 32 is your next 4 hour support, right? So you guys know, whenever you tap a support or resistance, those are areas of play. Those are areas where price can reject that, right? So in this case, that's what I'm trying to take advantage of. But look, what a coincidence. What levels we mentioned earlier? we mentioned 1932, right? 1932, and then we also mentioned 1926, right? What level is this in the 4-hour time frame? 1932. So, you know, that's when now I'm like, okay, cool. 1932 is a pretty interesting level. That's a level where price could reject, could create some ranges at, could create support at, who knows, right? So now all we gotta go down to is a smaller time frame. So keep going down. That was a 4-hour. Now the next support or next time frame is the 1 hour. So look at the 1 hour time frame. What's happening now in the 1 hour? Same thing that happened in the 4 hour, really. You had some type of fake over here. You came back into the ranges. You can see that price started to reject this resistance here, right? Close below, respect it, and then just continue to fall down and fill the rest of the range here. So look left there. Your next support now here is at 1932, right? This is the range that the 1 hour time frame is in. And again, you still have range to fill, right? It's very unlikely you'll just reject here before price makes a decision on where it wants to go next, either reject to go back up to retrace or to continue down. It's gotta tap into 32 first. So this is a level where you likely are gonna see, and 32 is when you can start to, you know, again, hunt for positions, right? So that's the 1 hour time frame. Price should be able to fill that range with the 4 hour time frame. Drop down to a smaller time frame again, 1530. Let's just go down to like the, I'll say, let's go down to 5 for now. So what was that level again, chat? 1932, right? So let's take a look at the 15 for now, actually. So ask yourself, like, you know, if this is like your 15-30 minute support here, right? For me to take a position here, because like, look, the going back to the 4 hour for a little bit too, the 4 hour time frame low is at 1924, right? So as price taps 32, you can probably look for buys in those areas there and have stops below, I'll say 1924, right? Because your resistance is up here now in the 1 hour time frame, right? And I'm assuming that if price were to drive down and tap 1931 here, right? It's very unlikely, but not unlikely. Yeah, I'll say it's very unlikely that you just see a continuation down like this without any type of liquidity and any type of you know, resistance even formed. You're gonna form some type of resistance, some type of support, especially if you come down to break the day of lows, right? Because you need liquidity. And looking left there, your most recent resistance now is going to be 1938, right? So this is your most recent resistance over here. So that's your resistance. This is your support. So if you take a buy at 31 here, right? Let's say you take a buy later on at 31 here and your stops are below here, for instance, right? And your target's like up here. This would be likely our first entry. Our first entry should be around like these zones here, right? Your most recent resistance is now 38 because that's where you're looking at target. So if you don't reject, like, let's say 31 here, right? And you were to, let's say this is what happens now. Let's say you drive down here, right? And then you don't reject 31, right? So now your first entry is in drawdown now, right? You can still take a second entry because our stops are below here. It's here for a reason. It's here because if price were breaks low, it will continue to drive further down and, you know, break those levels, right? But if you were to close below 31, you still got to grab liquidity, right? So your most recent resistance went from 38 now to 31, which is this line right here. So even if you're in drawdown or this position doesn't reject off of those levels, it's got to grab liquidity before driving down towards 24, 22. Right? So then you're going to see a top wick, right? Before coming down, if you were to come down. So while that top wick is being created, you can then take an entry, you know, wherever next support, you can take an entry like down here, for instance, right? And then by the time this entry comes back to this break even point, you can kind of close off both positions because now you have this advantage point to take advantage of, which is your most recent resistance, right? So then you have one position that closes off at break even. You have your second position that closes off like, you know, 10-15% profit, and that'll be the trade you're looking to take again, because even if you were to close below, you need a top wick, right? And your most recent resistance is your entry now, so you have that advantage point that you could take advantage of, and that's what I'm looking to catch here. So I'm going to wait until price taps 31, take first initial buys. If price rejects there, cool. Your next minor resistance, I'll say, would be around these areas to the left here. So by the time price taps 35, will be, you know, I'm assuming like maybe 35 to 40 pips in profit. We'll close off that trade there. If it doesn't reject there, then scenario number 2 is, you know, entries again. Like, I gotta go down to a smaller time frame, but I'm assuming it's gonna be likely at like probably around like 29 or something. And then by the time price comes back up to 31, we'll close both off. Second position in 20 pips profit, and first position and maybe like, I'll say break even, right? But that's what I'm looking to do today. So pretty straightforward. You know, again, just wait for price to fill that range there, and then we'll plot our trades accordingly once we see some type of rejections and all that good stuff, right? But for now, I'm just gonna put a line here and say this is your next support, and then put resistance here because this is the range you're in. Yeah, that's about it. That's the analysis chat. That's the same trade, literally the exact same trade I took during the London session. Same thing during London. We took it at like 2:30 a.m. It was funny because I was actually with my boy, and I was breaking it down live, like in front of him, and he trades too, right? So I was breaking it live in front of him, and I sent the signal in front of him. He's like, "Holy shit! How do you like do all that so fast, right?" But yeah, that's basically the same entry I took this morning. We took an entry here because price, it's a level where price could have rejected that. Again, 36 or it was 33. Those were your only two options where price could have rejected off of. So our plan was to take an entry at 36 and then take a second pineapple at 33, because if you were to break below 36 and you don't reject there, then you're gonna reject at 33, and by the time 33 rejects, your most recent resistance now is 36, and 36 is the level where you need to grab liquidity at before you're coming down. So like, you know, option number 2 would have played out either way if the first scenario didn't play out, but the first note did play out, so we didn't have to take pineapples or any of that other stuff. But yeah, chat, that's about it. That's what I'm looking for today. Okay.